Hey guys, Sean, Leslie's Love for Dummies. 16 gram CO2 and an M17 tuned for consistency. Now, if you came here for a Christmas miracle, it is not going to happen whatsoever. Sorry, my nose is still a little bit runny from that anthrax that I put in my mouth there earlier. CO2 is a fickle gas. Its pro is it can be stored indefinitely. Its cons, it has a lot of them. It is very susceptible to temperature fluctuations. It has diminishing returns, mainly because of its size, which is why consistency is something to be desired. What I'm going to show you here, as tested yesterday, this marker, it turns out where I left you guys off last time, 30 joules is about the best consistency I can achieve with a 16 gram CO2, 10 shots of 9.9 gram rye balls at about 30 joules. I am impressed nonetheless with what this M17 has achieved. What has piqued my curiosity even more is that this regulator has done a very good job at regulating this limited amount of CO2 in a marker that is very thirsty for air. Is what this would do in, say, an FSC, or I did briefly test it in my HDP 50. This may open some doors to using smaller cartridges, but make no qualms about it. It is a small canister of CO2, and I chose the small canister for a particular look. I don't have any 90 gram to test for you guys, I'm sorry at this point. I will test a dual, so a 2x12 CO2 in this marker at the very end of this because somebody requested it. Blah, 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 blah. Let's shoot this 16 gram, 9.9, 8-inch Lapco smoothbore 684 critical situations bolt spring. I have done 0 modifications to the trigger group. It is all factory. Yeah, that's it. Charge her up. And I'll show you what this gauge reads. This gauge to me is a jump off point. If you become familiar with what this gauge means to you, you know, it might be a good indication of what the marker is doing, but I don't suspect if you bought this regulator and installed it into your M17 that it would be a repeatable thing and you could set yours to what you just saw there. I just don't see it happening. All right, 10 rounds. Looking for the chronograph. There it is. Hiding in plain sight. .272. That's about 33. 30. 30. Sorry, I'm yelling. 30. Almost 30. Best I can do, guys. Almost 30 again. Almost 30 again. Almost 30 again. wah, wah, wah. .246. That was the last one. Beggars can't be choosers. For all intents and purposes, that's a 30 joule average. Temperature plays a huge part in CO2. This was tested yesterday. Put a CO2 in, left it just laying on the counter. So what can I expect? What I can tell you about this. That was 10 rounds. Should be one left in there. Tuned to 30. Through multiple 16 gram CO2s, because a little backstory when I was tuning this, the problem I ran into was I'd slowly turned it up until I had lost that average that you guys had asked for, based on the community post that I made. And when I turned it back, it didn't happen in a linear fashion as it went forward. So it didn't go up 5 at a time. Essentially, when I turned it back, it like fell like a rock. So I had to unscrew this, start all over again. But what I found through that whole testing, consistency can mean a lot of things based on how many shots you're setting your marker up to shoot. And that is completely up to you. What I found, I tuned for 10 because why? I like the look. There's more to a defense tool than look. This isn't really my defense tool. I have other tools for that. But for all intents and purposes, in this video, it's the point of the conversation we're having. Consistency of 10. I turned it up for a consistency of a magazine using 7. What I found was I was able to adjust my regulator up and maintain only a 33 joule average. 33 joule. So that's 3 more than 10 rounds. But 3 less shots. So it turns out it was like a joule. I lost a joule for every additional round I fired, which was intriguing to me actually. And it's the first time I kind of recognized that pattern. Not sure that is a pattern. It's a pattern with this marker, 100%. But it's something to keep in mind. Now, tuning for power, I'm not sure I'm gonna demonstrate that at the moment. It might be something I show you guys in the future. Just to keep this video kind of short, I'm gonna load up the dual 12 as requested in a barrel of 12 to 14 inches, which would be, this is a 14-inch lab coat. It's about 13 from here to here to the ports, and then 14. And I'm just gonna fire it off. Unrestricted, version 1 bypass. I'm gonna remove the regulator straight into the marker and see what it does, because somebody asked. That the goofiest setup you ever seen. So 14-inch barrel, I put the suppressor on just because. Why not? I don't know. Yeah, it looks stupid. No regulator, dual 12 grams. I'm only going to use the SMG magazine because I suspect it's going to blow through CO2 very quickly. I've set my twist so it's right on the verge of popping. Problem with this dual 12 gram is when the initial twist, you get one of the 12 grams pop, but then you got to kind of keep twisting to get the second one. And there was the second hiss. Here we go. Dual 12s. Version 1 bypass, critical situations bolt spring, 14-inch Lapco 684 smooth shot, 9.9 gram riot balls. $366. $346. Those are big numbers, but they'll be short-lived. $318. $310. And just like that, $210. Although that seemed to fall kind of fast. Yeah, that was just one of those weird ones. $286. $272. And we're out. That could almost be considered a power tune. When you look at that, that was like the far end of the scale, like I had said. Started really high. It still finished with above 30 out of 3, was that 372? But we were only using a smaller magazine. CO2 is great if you can understand how it works and you can work around the deficiencies that it has. And many of you don't have access to HPA or haven't jumped in head first yet. HPA is great. It's super consistent. CO2 is convenient, but in small doses. I wouldn't plink with this marker all day long on CO2, although some might beg to differ, because in the last 3 weeks, I've put well over 500 rounds through this, all on CO2, guys, all on CO2. I wouldn't plink with it because CO2 gets expensive, but it does work if you know how to tune for it, or you have a specific goal in mind that is reasonable. It has to be reasonable. The M17 is a pig on air to begin with. CO2 makes it no different. I hope this video was beneficial to you in some way. Like, subscribe, share, do all that fancy stuff. That is all I got. So I'll see you on the next one. Congratulations on sticking through to the end. 16 gram unregulated version 1 bypass. HP 68, 7.8 grams. 8-inch Lapco 684 smoothbore. Critical situations bolt spring. Oh, Wixon detent. $328. $316. And it jammed. Sure did. Well, that's the end of that.